See Beneath Your Beautiful podcast is raw and intimate, sometimes funny, and always entertaining. With new episodes every Saturday, Hara explores our loves, fears, and hopes with a delicious combination of depth and lightness. Today we interview Barb Silvey. Barb, will you introduce yourself?
I am Barb Silvey, and I am a lifelong resident of Spokane, Washington. I just retired from teaching at Rogers High School for 36 years, and now I'm headed into the sunset. I'm 63 years old.
You have a grown son.
Yep, he's 36.
And you play the bells or something?
I do. I play handbells.
How did that get started?
I was driving down Wellesley. I saw the name of someone I graduated from who I hadn't seen in forever as the music minister at this church. And I went in the church and went, oh my gosh, David. And then that Sunday when there was church, these people were making a song with bells. And I just was like, oh, I'm doing that. I don't know how, but I'm doing that. And now I have my own set of bells and I'm practicing so that I can go play. They really like it when I play at nursing homes and stuff like that at Christmas, also at the mission like that.
That's awesome. I was doing a project called Yes, Yes Magic, and I was interviewing some women, and I asked everybody who inspires them. And Ilea Perry mentioned you, and I love that I was a bit judgmental. I think based on everything everybody has told me, because I have talked to a bunch of people about you now, that you might be the kindest person I've ever met. So your heart is so big and you've helped so many people. And what I knew of you before that was I have played tennis against you and you would berate yourself on the court. And that's all I knew of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've turned my judgment on its head. And I love that.
The good news is now that I've found out that I have clinical depression and ADHD, I don't do that anymore.
Right. That's awesome.
I'm just a regular girl who understands she's not Serena Williams.
That is helpful to know. I always knew that about myself. Ilea said that, I would say she said you saved her life and many other teenagers' lives. Tell me how that got started or what made you open your house and your heart to all these wayward children.
My degree in college was in PE. And even though that was true, I also had a minor in special ed. So when I got my first job, there were no PE openings because those went to the football coach. However, there were special ed openings. So that was good. And so my first job, I got special ed job. I'm really good at helping kids move along from where they are to wherever they're going, as opposed to judging them where they are. Just like, how could you not read? So when I was doing special ed, then I really gravitated towards kids with behavior problems and kids with pretty smart kids, but had learning disabilities. I seem to have the ability to use my sense of humor for good. So, for example, the very first time I was having an evaluation, there was a kid in a desk and I had them working in fours so that they could do this task. And he was just talking. And no matter what I did, I couldn't get him to stop. So I said, Michael Crombie, turn your desk around, please. He just picked his desk, got it around 360 degrees. So he was facing the same way.
That's funny.
And I said, okay, apparently I'm not good at this. I quit. And then I walked out the door. And then the kids were like, no. I was like, just kidding. Apparently I have to give more specific directions.
They were challenging you?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was just out of college, so it was no surprise. And plus that flavor of kid that I've worked with my whole life, they do that. And it's interesting because the longer you do it, the more you don't have to be the bad guy because the kids in the class will go, you're not going to talk to her like that. And so then it's like, wow, my work here is done. So that's kind of cool. And they're kids who have been through trauma and PTSD are so ridiculously loyal. They're so loyal. And when you treat them as they should be treated, they just are pretty marveled at it. They can't believe it because other people treat them like they're stupid or other people treat them like they're, they don't deserve whatever it is everybody else is having.
Yeah.
It's so adorable. 3 boys that I helped graduate from high school One of them, I went and picked up every morning at 7 a.m. to make sure he got to 0 hour so he could get the extra PE credit he needed. Standing at his bathroom door, I just drug him kicking and screaming to school. And then the other two, same kind of thing. And part of it was because their lives were, what the heck? So they asked me, said, we want to take you out to a nice dinner to thank you for helping us. And I said, okay, that'll be cool. So we're going to Olive Garden downtown. And basically through the entire meal, I'm teaching them how to go to a nice dinner. That napkin, that's supposed to go in your lap in case you drip. And it was insane. And so then at the end, the bill comes and they're like getting all their pennies and stuff like that to pay it. Oh my God, they were so hilarious. And then I said, and you need to make sure you also consider the tip. And they were like, the what? the tip for the wait staff. And then I helped them figure out how much 20% was. And they said, we don't have that much. And I said, well, usually if someone's taking you to dinner, you offer to pay the tip. So that's in the rules too. It was so hilarious.
Yeah.
But they were so adorable and they just were so proud that they could take me to dinner. They were so cute.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it was. It was very fun.
And so you let some of the kids who didn't have a place to stay with you. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And how often did that happen?
From 1990 until last year.
Right. When I came and talked to you last year, there was a girl staying with you. I spoke to a gentleman. Does he live in North Carolina?
You spoke to Derek Dyer? Derek was living in his car. He had a pretty bizarre mom and stuff. And he was taken away from his mom when he was little and given to foster parents in Reno. And so he was living in his car. I think one day I just said, where are you going to college? Because your test scores are ridiculous. And he said, I can't go to college. I live in my car. So I told him he had to come live with us because you can't live in your car and go to school. That's ridiculous. So he came to stay with us and he struggled because he won the Jim Chase Youth Award for overcoming adversity. And he ended up getting a full ride to Gonzaga. They gave him a computer, all the money for housing and everything like that. And sure as shooting, he just couldn't do it. He went through several machinations before he entered the Army. Then they were just like, wow, you're really smart. And now he's an E8. There's only one above him, E9.
Did you visit him not too long ago?
I did. It was the most fun. Oh my gosh. It was so fun.
He considers you like a mom, right?
Yeah. He calls me mama and he's very close to my son.
I was so impressed with your son also. It seems like he's so proud of you. And also I thought he might be a little jealous that you always brought these people into your home, but he said not at all, that he loved having all these people around.
Yeah. He was very generous to share me with them. As soon as he figured out that I could buy more snacks for the snack cupboard because they ate them, he was okay. And he actually told me a couple weeks ago that that's something he's carried with him his whole life. If something is used up or something, that there won't be more. When he said, oh, they ate all the snacks. And I said, honey, it's okay. We'll just make more. I'll go make more money and then we'll go buy more snacks.
That's wonderful. Is there anybody else, any other, I think you call them foster kids, though they weren't legally foster kids. Is that right?
2 of them were.
Anybody else that calls you mom besides Derek and your kid?
Did you call Chris?
I might have. It's been a while since I made those phone calls, although I do have them.
Chris Wood. She lives in Portland. She is a paralegal who should be a lawyer. She's so good at it. I think that they're probably going to pay for her to finish law school. She's just brilliant. Here's the list of all my children's.
Oh, sweet. What's the list of? Those are all the kids who lived with me. Oh, they are? About how many are on there?
30.
So you had 30 people live with you over the years.
Yeah.
That's so generous. I know the lady that lived with you last year thought you were just so generous, and I think she thought you were rich.
Yeah, because her parents would never pay for things like that she needed, not even stuff she wanted, but like that she needed. And that's true of a lot of kids as parents who I took in. DeAndre doesn't call me mom, but I know he's very grateful. He's one of the kids of color that I had. And he came from Compton, and his mom was a crackhead. So he would walk around with his brother and sister arm in arm, 6th grade or something, and just trying to find mom so they could get money for groceries and stuff. And finally, for whatever reason, she brought them up here. I don't know if they had some relations here or what, but she brought them up here to get them away from gangs and drugs and stuff like that, which I find interesting because the only reason they were involved in drugs was because they were trying to find her in crack houses. And then it didn't get any better. She just went and found crack houses here. And he came to us as a sophomore, I think, had never gone to school for an entire year and had 0 credits in high school, played basketball like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played really good. So the basketball coaches are like, hey, Barb, can you get him some credits? And I was like, I sure can. It wasn't hard. He's very smart, very smart.
Yeah.
He was wary at first because kids of color, they're suspicious why white people would want to do anything for them.
Oh, yeah.
But I worked on him for a very long time because he was working and going to school and playing basketball. And he would give his mom the money for rent, and she would go out for a bender on the weekend, and then there wouldn't be any money for rent. Sometimes he would show up in class and he would just put his head down, and I could just hear him crying. It's not easy to see a 6'1" black man cry. And he's just got the most generous heart on earth. And so I just kept saying, you know, I have an entire bedroom. I even put Michael Jordan sheets on the bed for you. Really, you can come stay with us whenever you want. I'm not kidding. He was playing in a basketball tournament, and I went down to Spokane Community College to see him play. And after the tournament was over, there were police there. And I thought, oh, God. Sure enough, his mom had been arrested, and they had taken everything in the house, which included all the money that he had saved from working. And he just turned to me and said, is that bedroom still open? I was like, yes, it is.
Awesome.
So he came to stay with us, and it wasn't for very long. It was only for 3/4 of a year, but he just flourished. Not having to worry about his mom calling him from home and saying, I can't get in, I lost my key. And him leaving school to go take her the key, get her in, taking the bus back. Oh, my God. So then he got a scholarship to go to college to play basketball. And it wasn't at a Division I school because his grades were nothing. So he went to Edmonds Community College. And so Pat and I would go over there and watch him play basketball. And he was in a new place and he didn't know anybody, right? He called me up and said, Miss Silvey, I don't know anybody over here, and I don't get my financial aid until next week, and I don't have books for my classes tomorrow, and blah, 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 blah. And I said, you will know people. It's going to be okay. And I will put some money in your account so you can go buy books, and then you'll have books for your classes. And then he goes, I'll pay you back. I said, I don't care. Just start breathing. You know, I worried a little bit about him, but he's so friendly and so easy to like that it was really fun watching him flourish there. So we went to a game, and at Edmonds Community College, they house the foreign exchange students in the same dorms with the athletes, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
So then we go to the first game, and there are all these Japanese kids with signs going along the end line going, let's go, DeAndre. Let's go, DeAndre. So cute. And so then I went to get him at the end of the school year. Well, I said, do you need a ride back after school gets out? And he said, no, my mom's coming to get me. I said, okay. And so I drove to Ellensburg and just waited. And then he called me and goes, Miss Silvey, can you still come get me? I said, yes, I can. I'll be there in 2 hours. He said, how are you going to do that? Because I'm in Ellensburg. He wanted to have a job when he lived with me, and I told him no. Because I said, you have one job. You do well in school so you can go to college. You don't need a job for money. I have money. And when I run out of money, I'll make more money. When he lived in Compton, they never left the porch. You get shot. So he never read a newspaper or anything, right? So his worldview was just really limited. So when he went to college, I thought, this is going to be interesting to see what kind of worldview he comes back with, right? So I go there to get him, and I'm in my car for an hour and a half because the line to say goodbye to him is out the door, down the block.
Oh, wow.
Billions of foreign exchange students saying goodbye, right? So we get all the stuff in the car, and then we're driving home, and he goes, Miss Silvey, I have to go to Europe and South Africa and to see my friends because they all live over there, and Italy. I just like, oh, the kid who never left his porch in Compton has to go to Italy now. And funny thing is, where he is now, he can do that whenever he wants because he stayed in Seattle where Edmonds is and started bartending, and he worked out at this gym. And the guy who owned the gym decided he didn't want to own the gym anymore and said to DeAndre, you know, you're really friendly and stuff like that. Do you want to work at the front desk and like maybe buy your way into the gym? And he was like, oh, yes, I do. And now it's a huge gym and he does not have to ever worry about money anymore. And he married this lovely lawyer lady. She's just wonderful. And he has these 2 little kids. They're just adorable.
I love happy endings.
And, you know, not all my kids had happy endings. One of them just died because you just can't do too many bad batches of heroin and not die. That's how that goes. I just saw him a month ago. And so I got to spend a really good amount of quality time with him. That was very cool.
We look at troubled youth and we're concerned for our own safety maybe, and they're challenging always. And so it's hard to want to be generous, I think. So what would you tell somebody how to go about this? Because if we could have more than just you saving the world, wouldn't that be lovely?
That would be lovely. Although I have to say there are a lot more than me. There are a lot of teachers at Rogers who are taking kids home. We had a girl the year that I left who took her brother's braces off with a screwdriver and pliers because their parents were not going to pay to get those taken off.
Oh my gosh.
And he had them on for like, I don't even know, so long. They were causing his thumbs to bleed. So she just took them off. When you live in the poorest zip code in the state, that's the kind of stuff that happens all the time. And it's not that people choose to be bad parents. They just don't have the skills, you know?
What is it about you and the teachers at Rogers? I mean, most teachers, I would assume, don't take kids home because you can't take everybody home.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's 2 things: recognizing the need and figuring out if you can fill it.
Yeah.
If it's winter and it's freezing and that kid has come to school for the 3rd day in a row without a coat, I'm going to ask where his coat is. If he says his coat's at home and he's just too stupid to wear it, then you get what you deserve. But if he doesn't have a coat, I'm going to find a coat. And if I can't find a coat, I'm going to buy a coat. You can't have kids without coats in the winter. It's crazy. And then the other thing is, I think this is probably the biggest thing. People judge kids' behavior and they act like the kids are doing it on purpose. Just being obstinate to be obstinate. And they're not. Behavior comes from somewhere. Behavior comes from, I'm not getting this, so I'm going to act like this.
Right. That's so smart. Right.
And when you can say to a kid, you can be as bad as you want. I'm not kicking you out of my class. I'm keeping you in here because I can't even understand what will happen to you if I let you go.
Right. And like a mother loves her daughter or a child, you say, no matter what your behavior is, I love you. And I think that's what you provided to these kids.
Even the number of times they'll say, I lost my math work. Okay, well, I saw that you did it to problem number 10, so I'll give you credit for that. Start at 11. The number of times I did that and the kids were so joyous because they didn't have to do it over. When you live in a house where there's 14 people and everybody's smoking weed and doing this and doing that, and you don't have anywhere to keep your schoolwork safe.
And you're just happy they made it to class through all that.
And especially like kids who came to live with me. I just said, you can't bring drugs and alcohol in my house. I have a kid and I'm a teacher. I'll get fired. Whatever Pat wants to watch on TV, he gets to watch. But he never lorded the TV remote over him. Don't ask me if you can eat the food in the house. It's not in the house to be decorative. Eat it.
You've provided for other people's children is why I'm just saying it was very generous of you because you're not rich by any stretch of the imagination.
I did a lot of extra jobs that paid really good money, so that helped. I officiated collegiate tennis and collegiate volleyball.
Well, this has been really lovely, and I appreciate you so much. And is there anything, do you have a life motto?
Stop being afraid of teenagers. They are afraid of you. people like go downtown and there's a group of teenagers. They're like, oh my God, they're going to rob me. No, they're not. They're hungry. Go get a box of donuts and you will never see kids so happy in your life. It takes a village. So when I go by the skate park, I always drop off a case of water because there are kids there who don't have any water. And so then I would rather have them at the skate park than out robbing people. So then why wouldn't I reward them with some water?
Right.
People are so afraid of people who are like desperate or don't have resources. They're afraid of homeless people. They're afraid of teenagers that are downtown or wherever. All the teenagers want, all they want to know is that you don't hate them. That's all. And so when I would get kids who would just do deplorable behavior, the fact that I didn't hate them, where I would just say, well, I don't think when you have kids, you're going to let them do that. And they would say, no, I am not. And I said, well, then I am not going to let you get away. The ones who came from the worst places, those are the ones who are so proud. And when they see you on Facebook, they message you and say, I'm the captain of a ship. This is a girl who wouldn't leave the closet in my room to turn her work in. Not for half a school year until the middle of the school year. And then we started working on that. Meeting them where they are is a big deal.
Yeah.
If they're playing loud music, you saying to them, I like that music. They don't even understand that. They don't know who you are. But when you say, I like that music, they're like, wow, you know this music? No, but I like it. And then they're just like, some old lady liked my music. She didn't hate me.
Oh, well, that is a good lesson for me. Thank you. Because I guess I fit into the category of I'm afraid of what I don't know.
A lot of people are. As a matter of fact, there's a lady who works at Gonzaga and she's trying to work on having Gonzaga work with the Hilliard area and providing resources for kids. And she asked me to take her downtown and just walk around and show her things and show her like how I interact with kids and stuff like that. And she said, I think teenagers are going to rob me. I think they're going to kill me. I was like, they don't have the energy to do that. Are you kidding me? They need some food first.
I was a troubled teen for a bit, and I had an English teacher who took me under her wing. And I totally understand how important you are to these kids because she saved me and got me back on track. I love that teachers do that for kids. I just really appreciate you and thank you for your heart. And I'm so glad we got to do this. What was it like growing up with her and all that stuff?
Oh, geez. So I had the best experience ever because I was like an only child. Also, mom was always opening her doors to so many foster kids. And so like I felt like I was part of this big giant world where I got to experience all these different kinds of cultures and backgrounds.
And you were never jealous?
Oh, no, never. I always thought it was really neat, actually, because I always wanted like brothers and sisters. And so it was always nice to have that different person, and it always like instilled in me a way to help people. So that was always really rad. She did a lot for me, obviously.
Like what?
Like she always wanted me to play sports, so I like to play sports. So we played hockey and soccer, and it ain't cheap. And I started playing like travel hockey. So she would rework in like 2-3 jobs to pay for that. And, you know, as a single mom, I don't know how she did it. And then she also instilled in me like love for the arts as well. And I was in theater in college, and it always instilled in me like a good balance, like between like, I just felt like I was really well-rounded, loving the arts and sports. She doesn't care. She's very selfless. Like whatever the kids need, she's always going to be there to either pay for something or make sure they're fed or.
She was one of like the only people that realized that I was on drugs. I was even living with my parents and like they didn't even notice that I was on drugs. And so she got me clean and she pretty much helped me graduate. She's pretty much helped me and kind of been both my parents. Like my mom and my dad just like trying to fix all the things that my parents like neglected. I don't know, she's just always making sure that people have what they need. Sometimes there were other people who were pregnant and needed help, or just people with no meals. And in her classroom, she had a whole shelf of things that was like clothes, socks, soap, there was deodorant, there was toothbrushes, toothpaste, everything that you can think of that anybody could just come in and grab. Even just since I've lived here, which has been for a couple months, I've had to like learn a whole new routine of things. Like when you take your clothes off to go to the shower, you pick them up right after the shower. You don't pick them up an hour later.
Yeah.
Just
little that's good. Like that. So, and Barb's teaching you that?
Like there's lessons almost every day.
Hello, this is Peyton. She's a really good person. She helps me out quite a bit. I probably wouldn't have graduated high school without her. I kind of had a troubled upbringing, to be honest with you, and she was just there the whole way to make sure that I didn't go down the wrong path. Made me the kind of the person I am today. You know, I got a pretty good career and doing pretty well for myself now. So she was able to, you know, kind of teach kids in a way that maybe the teacher couldn't get around to. That made it really nice. She was kind of like a second mom, you know, like at school. It's just someone who was stern with you but still cared about you more so than just your grades. You know, she cared about your well-being, and if you weren't at school, she'd call you, and if you didn't answer, she'd come get you.
Hello?
Hi, is this Tracy?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Hara Allison, and Barb Silvey gave me your number.
I wouldn't be where I am without her, so it's pretty important to me. Kind of like a lost child, basically. I was raised by a single father in a house full of boys with no mom. And I struggled in school. Yeah. But she was one of those ones that fought for me. I was a troubled child and also struggled with math. You know, and then I ended in her special education class. You know, we developed a real closeness, and she saw that I was smart. You know, I struggled with math. I was smart in other ways. Right. And she was the first person to ever tell me that I was smart. When I graduated from college, I don't know, I was almost 40 with like almost a perfect GPA. I invited her to my graduation and then got up and spoke at graduation about I've learned how to be me from her.
Your life is different because she was the first person to tell you were smart and you believed her? Is that what you're saying?
It didn't come easy for me to believe because I'm like, how can I be smart? Nobody's ever told me that before. Right. But she just took me underneath her wing and just proved to me that I was smart. I don't have kids of my own, but I still give some of that quality that she gave me to my nieces, my nephews, the kids that I come in contact with. I see somebody struggling and I'm like, okay, I come along beside them and then I'll point out, hey, look at how awesome that is. Yeah. Look how great you are at that.
This is Derek.
Hi, Derek. This is Hara.
So, in high school, I went to Rogers High School. I was probably maybe a sophomore in high school, maybe a junior. I was a year behind, so I was a little older than most of the rest of my class. I had failed a couple of courses just because I didn't show up. And so Barb ran a class that helped you catch up on those courses that you were behind in. So I was in her class. I was sleeping in my car. I was working a full-time job, going to school full-time. And so because I was in her class and we started talking, Barb figured out, the situation I was in. And so she started asking me, hey, you look pretty handy. Do you want to come over tonight? And, my closet door is broken. If you fix my closet door, I'll give you $15 or, buy you dinner or something. So that started happening and over and over and over repetitively. And it literally turned into that was sort of her way of offering me a place to stay without sort of attacking my ego or pride. Yeah. So after, it was probably about a month and a half being in her class and doing those type of things. And finally she asked me, if you want to just stay here, you're over here enough. I've got a room downstairs for you. And so as far as a living situation at the time, she helped me I mean, she solved my problem. I was sleeping in my car, crashing on friends' couch and stuff like that. She never received any support because none of us were true foster kids.
Right.
So she never received any fiscal support, nothing monetary, no medical, no food stamps, anything like that. It truly was the kindness of her heart. At that age, even though Barb was helping me, I was like a feral cat.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what a real family was. I wasn't comfortable staying in one place. So, I'd stayed with her for a while, got a job. Her and a couple other people nominated me for the Chase Youth Award, as well as several other awards. So I received several awards. I received the Chase Youth Award for Courage.
Awesome.
And the efforts that her and a lady by the name of Sarah Lever Main put forth helped me actually secure a full-ride scholarship to Gonzaga University.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Presidential scholarship. And even though I was that feral cat, I really wasn't one to be tamed at the time. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I just didn't know what a home was.
Right.
So I stayed with Barb for quite a while, and then, I moved out, no big deal. But she was always there for me. Anytime I needed anything, she would call and ask me for help. It was truly like a mother-son relationship without the biological maternal connection.
I spoke to her son, and her son doesn't seem at all jealous of the other relationships. As a matter of fact, felt like you all were more siblings. Did you feel that way?
Oh, I absolutely felt that way. Pat is my little brother. From the moment I started building a relationship with Barb, she introduced me to Pat one day over dinner, no big deal. And then when Barb was busy with other things, she would loan me her car and ask me if I'd pick Pat up from school and go grab some dinner, or if I'd take him to hockey practice because she was coaching or something like that. And it's like a symbiotic relationship. It was wonderful. Pat never displayed any jealousy. He never displayed any bias. It was absolutely normal for him. He loved it. He has the biggest family that you could ever imagine. My two daughters, Emily and Hannah, they will be 16 and 13, and they call her Grandma Barb. When we go on vacations up to Spokane, we visit her. She flies across country. She'll come visit us.
Awesome.
She'll actually be here at the end of this week for my youngest daughter's gymnastics competition.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
So it truly is the family that I never had. Without her, I honestly would probably be, dead or in prison. It's not an exaggeration that I'm one of those lines that people say, she helped change my life. She helped change my life and countless others.